Hello, how you doing? So I did been like experimenting a lot lately. I like to come up with techniques to get rid of these perpetrators and make your life a lot easier. And for me, especially, really, I do it for me. And I like to pass on the information to other people if they wish to use it or if it's useful to them. So yesterday I did a massive day, and the idea was I wanted to leave my phone at home. Okay, so I'm going to make it hard for them all day, and I went out and I tried loads of techniques, and I know about the phone one already, but the fact is, like, if you leave your house without your phone, you normally get ID'd manually by a security guard or something, or a policeman or something like that. You won't be out long before they're onto you. But obviously, like, the phone thing makes it a lot harder for them, because they've got to do it manually. They've got to do it through the cameras they have in the streets. They've got to do it through people eyeballing you and then reporting you, and people following you. So it was really interesting, the stuff that I learnt, and I really want to phase the phone out of my life, like slowly, like, get rid of it, because it's hard to just like go cold turkey on it. But as I lose my dependence on my phone, I'm going to find ways of getting around things, ways of still like having the things that your smartphone offers you, but without even having one, Okay, so I went out, and the first thing I tried was really deep eye contact, because it's something I've been noticing recently anyway, over the past few months, is if I think that someone's a perpetrator and they're walking towards me, I've learnt how to like spot them, and if I stare at them, they won't harass me most of the time, and it's a really good deterrent, and it actually works. It works to the the primal brain, the lizard brain, and because what they're doing to me is, like, they cough at me, they put me in the fight and flight. It makes me angry, it's aggravating, etc. It ruins my day. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting them in the fight and flight, okay, which puts me on the offensive and them in the defensive, but I'm actually not going to offend against them at all, I'm just using it as a deterrent, So, like, I think some of them might get a bit scared or something, think that I'm at the end and ready to, like, let go, let rip, But anyway, it works. Try it out for yourself. Okay, pavement position. Something like, so once I got out into the field, I didn't have my phone. I was obviously, like, they've got to follow me manually on foot. So I started looking at my pavement position, when you're walking down the pavement, you want to be on the left-hand side near the shops, because this is if you haven't got your phone with you, because it makes it much harder for them to, like, spot you and follow you. Okay, because if you're on the left-hand side, there's a bit of cover there, It's just a little bit of camouflage. Just makes it a little bit harder for them. But the other thing it does is it makes it harder for the cars to spot you as well, because we've all been seeing these black, like, 4x4s, haven't we? All the TIs are getting these black 4x4s, and they're so they're using cars and stuff. And the further away from the road you are, the better, obviously, because they're going to find it harder to spot you. Okay, and the other thing, like, if you haven't got your phone on you, there's another thing you can do with your pavement position as well, because I think what we're avoiding now as well is facial recognition. So don't look at a car head on, because this facial recognition stuff, it only works with straight face on faces. If you're like that, it doesn't work. Okay, so look out for these, and these cars, they're always black 4x4s. Don't look straight at them, you know, because they might be using facial recognition stuff. Okay, when you get to traffic lights, what you need to do is just joggle right a little bit, and then you're using that whole block behind you to cover you from people following you from behind you. You disappear. So there's a lot of things you can do, you know, with your pavement position, you know. Another thing with pavement position is you can pop into shops, you know, and it's a good thing, especially if you keep your glasses on, or you know, and stuff like that, you know, and you haven't got your phone on you. You can just pop in there, you know. It's another pavement position that you have, like, at your disposal, you know. Okay, I've developed a technique now called I call it like reverse engineering, because so what was happening to me yesterday was I basically like didn't have my phone, and they stalked me a bit on the metro. There's not much I could do about that, really, although sometimes I do talk about gangstalking really loudly to my perpetrator, and I just keep going, and especially on the metro, they've got to really stay there, you know, until they can get off. You know, that works really well, you know, and you can do it in a really banterish way, you know, because as we all know, I don't know if all these perpetrators really like are doing it by choice or what, you know. Yeah, reverse engineering. Okay, so I was like picking up on people following me. They were following me, and they always had a rucksack, always, and they were always on their phone. Because I'd lose them, right? I'd look behind me, I'd lose them, and I wasn't getting harassed, you know. I was walking around, and then suddenly I get harassed. I get someone to cough, like walk past me and cough. I look behind me, and there's someone behind me with a rucksack and his phone and his earphones in, and he's following me manually. Okay, so what I've been doing is I'm calling it reverse engineering. Like, what you need to do if you get harassed is turn around and walk back the other way, okay, and then come back behind them, and you're in control of the situation then, okay. I was doing that a lot yesterday, and I think I might have really got under their skin a bit, you know, because I was hard work yesterday. I'll tell you something, this is for definite. Them using your phone to stalk you is cheap and easy. Them stalking you manually is difficult, right? And throughout the day, I actually got rid of all these cheap, rubbish, sort of wannabe spies, schoolboy people, you know. I had one guy, he was like right on my tail. He was like smiling into his phone. He had his rucksack. He called in a harassment on me. He got someone to cough at me. I turned around and stopped and looked at him, and he just looked really ashamed of himself, you know. And I actually followed him for 1 block. I let him know that I knew what he was doing, you know, and obviously I wasn't getting harassed either, you know. And so I got rid of him through like reversing back and following him. And I got rid of a few other people like that, but what I've come to realise is what's happening here is I'm losing them. They come on to me. They get a perpetrator. They call it in manually. And I found it was a lot better to like nip it in the bud, you know. So every couple of blocks I check behind me, you know, and you'll get used to this. You just know they're walking. They've got a rucksack. They've got their headphones in. They're looking at their phone, and you know, and they're by themselves, or there's 2 of them, you know. But check it out, you know. If you let that guy follow you, you know, they're not. There's a lot of people doing this who are not very good. You know, I totally got rid of a lot of like amateurish people yesterday, and I think they must have. In the end, I think they had someone quite good on me in the end, you know. and he ain't going to be he or she isn't going to be that cheap, you know. Okay, so something else I tried was it's an idea I had a while ago about making these perpetrators like have a hard time for harassing me, you know. And it was to basically, when they harass me, I have a Coke can on me, I shake it up and I open it up in their face. But I didn't know if it was a bit too aggressive, you know, so I held back on it a bit. But like yesterday, I thought, you know, I'm going to give it a go for other perpetrators, because you never know what's going to happen. It could be like really good. And amazingly, it was amazing. It was amazingly good. But I never opened the Coke can on anyone because I didn't need to. I just had the Coke can in my hand, and whenever someone was walking past me, I'll give it a shake and be on the key there like that. And whoever it was, whether I thought it was a perpetrator or not. And I walked down Sunset Boulevard for about two miles, maybe 2 or 3 miles. I walked for about an hour and a half down Sunset Boulevard, and I didn't get harassed once. And that was just madness, you know. This was like Wednesday night, 9 o'clock or whatever, 8 or 9 o'clock. There's plenty of people about, you know. And I think it was that threat of having this can of Coke open on them was actually enough for him not to perpetrate me, you know. But later on, I got in a bar, and I was getting harassed by one of the staff, you know. She was just like coughing around. Whenever I was there, she was cough all the time, you know. But anyway, I still had a really good night, because I could feel they didn't have almost nearly as much power on me, you know. I think people are hesitant. Gangstalkers are a bit hesitant. If you haven't got your phone with you, they're not sure, you know. Especially when I talk about what I'm going to talk about next, which is disguises. Okay, so obviously I've got my glasses. These are great, you know, because these are cool as well. This is part of my style, but also I think, you know, it makes it harder for people to recognise. It's just a cool way of having a disguise, you know. It feels like quite weird when you're in an establishment and you're still wearing your glasses, but I'm getting into it. I'm getting used to it. And in LA, you can get away with it because everyone's playing a part, you know. Do you know what I mean? So, everyone's quite extravagant with their clothes and that, and they don't really bat an eyelid, you know, at me wearing my shades inside. Another thing because on the metro it's hard. Because you've got a couple of carriages, and you can go that end or you can go that end. And the harassers, they tend to they'll find out where you're sitting, and they'll come in like on one of the stops and surround you and start coughing and clearing their throat. So on the metro, at one point I did this. I put my hood up like that, and put my head down like that, and I didn't get harassed on the metro, and it's the first time in a long time that I haven't got harassed on a train, because a TI is an easy pickings on the train. You know, all you can do really is put your headphones on. If you're like that, they can't ID you because you haven't got your phone on you, you know. This is the great thing about avoiding the phone. Okay. So yeah, disguises really work, you know. Return fire. Okay, so I had a couple of ladies behind me yesterday, and I snapped a little bit, and I basically just started giving them some verbal abuse about gangstalking. It was obvious they were gangstalking me, you know. They were right behind me, coughing like every 5 seconds, you know. So I stopped and I started telling them about gangstalkers, how pathetic they are, what a waste of space they are, you know. But you know, I've got to say, when you get to that breaking, we don't want to let the anger too much inside you. You know, you don't want to build up inside you. You have to let out a little bit. These gang stalkers, they must get this a lot, you know. It's part of the job. They're going to have to accept it, you know, that once the TI gets to a certain point, I don't want to get to the point where I want to murder someone, you know. I'll just get to the point where I feel like letting them know what I think of them, and then I'll do it, and then it's out. It's out. It's like doing one of these vlogs, you know. It makes you feel a lot better. You just get it out. You just get it out, you know. And, you know, I got away with it because I let them know that I know that what they're doing is illegal. I know they're gang stalking. I know they've got an app on their phone. And after I let them know that I'm in the dominant position, which I am, then I'll let go with verbal abuse as much as I feel like it, and I don't worry about it because you know, if they don't know what they're involved in and how dangerous it is and how people can be around them, then they've learnt something about it, you know, and I feel better in that. And, you know, I really look up to Jesus, you know, and I you know, I want to be able to like forgive and forget, and like violence isn't the answer, you know, and I agree with that. And I think a lot of the key to making that work is not snowballing the violence and the aggression. You see, you know, because sometimes if someone slaps you around the head, you want to punch them in the face. And when they get punched in the face, they want to kick you in the head. And once they get kicked in the head, you know, it escalates and it escalates. So when you do retaliate, which I think, you know, is obviously like, I mean, I think we do need to retaliate at a certain level, you know, but not like snowball, not let the aggression snowball, because I think that's what they want, you know, the people up at the top. You know, so you're just coming back at them at the same level. You know, it's like the can of Coke thing. Yeah, if I empty a can of Coke on a gang stalker's face, I'm not gonna go to the chair for that. You know, I'm not gonna get 20 years in prison for that. You know, same as they're not going to get 20 years in prison for doing a deliberate cough in my ear hole. You know. Something I will say about this as well is I think some TIs they get chosen because people think they won't retaliate, you know, and they love that people aren't going to retaliate and do anything at all, you know. So you got to do something, but you know, I think a lot of TIs seem to be really clever, and just don't let it snowball, you know. Like if someone coughs at me, the last thing I want to do is punch them, you know. But I can empty a can of Coke, or I could even have a bottle of urine and throw it in their face, you know. I could get away with doing that, you know, because what they're going to do, they're going to call the police, and I'm going to be talking about gang stalking, you know, and they're going to be looking at the person's phone, you know, and there's going to be software on there, or there's going to be text messages on there or something, you know. Okay, so I'm calling that technique return fire. Okay, so I was out without my phone, you know, and in the beginning I was like, right, so I just need to get on the metro, you know, find out when the last metro is or whatever and get that. But I was out and I thought, I don't need to do that. I can still have all the features of a smartphone without actually having one. Okay, because what you need to do is like how to replace a smartphone is use other people's, or like access other people's information, you know. Like with Google Maps in a city, you don't need Google Maps in a city, you know, because you just pop in a cafe and you just ask them, you know, it's easy. Okay, and the other thing, everyone's got a smartphone. Why do you need one, you know? And it was something that I happened to do the other day. I actually did it for the first time without thinking about it or realising. A couple of months ago, I was up on Malibu Beach, and I had my phone with me, but I was walking along the beach and a big wave come up and destroyed my phone. Okay, so I was stuck up in Malibu. I needed to get to Santa Monica, and I didn't know what I was going to do at all. But I got chatting with these two people on the beach, and she had an Uber, and I was like, "Oh, why can I use your phone to access my Uber account and order me an Uber?" And she was like, "Yeah." So you can do that. You can like get onto you can like log out of their account, log into your account on their phone, and order yourself an Uber. Okay, it's that easy. And if you can't find anyone, if people don't want to like lend you their phone or anything like that, another thing you could do is you could say to them, "Could you order me an Uber and I'll give you the money?" Okay, so Uber now like tells you how much it's going to be. Okay, so you just say to them, "Look, can you order an Uber? It's gonna, and you know, if it comes up $12, I'll give you $12." Okay, there's loads of things you can do. You know, don't think just because you haven't got an internet connection in your pocket doesn't mean you haven't got one. You just look for anyone. Everyone's got a smartphone nowadays. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Horton. She's another targeted individual. She's getting a really hard time. Now she does a lot of trying to get this into court, you know, and like writing to people, phoning up official people, trying to get things done. Which she's got to get. I think she sounds like she's getting a lot of harassment from it, you know, from that. But what I'd like to add to what she's doing is, I think it's a great idea to like write to Amnesty International, you know, because this is just up their street, you know. It's a human rights abuse, right? So Amnesty International deal with human rights. I don't know if like TIs can get in touch with them, and whether they could help. You know, maybe they can. Which brings me like quite neatly onto the next thing, which is that I suspect there's a lot of supposed TIs out there spreading disinformation. I think what some people are trying to do is lead us away from the light, you know, from how we can get this stopped, which I think is through official authority means, you know, going to the police and that. There's so many TIs I see, like they like post messages like, "Yeah, I'm a TI, don't go to the police, there's no point." You know, where's that come from, you know? "Yeah, I'm a TI, don't run, you can't run from them." But I know that you can, and they hate that as well. Yeah, because they got to set it all up again. It's expensive. You know, you can get away from them. You know, if you lost your phone and you just kept getting away from them, you know, and just didn't have a smartphone for about 2 years and kept moving around, you'd lose them. I'm sure you would. Yeah. So there's definitely some disinformation campaign, you know, to stop us from going to the police, going to governments, going to like people like Amnesty International, you know. And look at the way Dr. Horton's being attacked. You know, she's being attacked severely, and the reason is because she's going down all the right pathways, and they're trying to stop her. You know, and I think we all like need to learn from her what she's doing. I think she's going about it the right way. You know, and she's amazingly brave, very clever woman. The last thing I want to talk about is being happy. They hate it when you're happy. They hate it. The amount of times I've been harassed, like there's 3 girls at Venice Beach. This is a great example of it. The girl in the middle, deliberately coughed at me as I went past, and the other two girls I quite liked. So I stopped and I started talking to these girls, and I was starting to make them laugh, and the perpetrator, the girl in the middle, she was hating it. She was hating it. I was laughing. I was making these other two girls laugh, her friends. And it's the worst. That's like harassing a gang stalker when you do that. It's like sort of the return fire verbal abuse makes you feel better, but it probably doesn't hurt them actually that much. What really hurts them is you being happy. So keep a smile on your face. And if you're in the mood, if you're in a really happy mood and you get gang stalked, just show them how happy you are. And it just makes them look pathetic. Because they can't even do that. They can't even do that properly. So that's my blog. Today is the 19th. It's Thursday the 19th of January 2017.